Hi, Kapil. You released a message yesterday that said, I believe, the truer, the purer, the greater the artist, the more likely he is to starve. Which I've been following your work for over 5 years now, and I recently started receiving your private discourses, and I absolutely see how that is 100% true in the sense that pure art is truth, and the world has no interest in truth. So obviously that won't, they're going to starve because no one's going to buy truth, really. And you've also, written a lot about purity in its relationship to success, which I also have, over the past many years of exposure to your work, come to see is true too.
I think I know where this is going, and you're trying to call that a dichotomy. You call it you're going to conflicting messages. Is that where you're going with this?
No, my question is, can both of those things be true? And it just depends on.
Everything is contextual, right? Everything is contextual, and everything is dependent upon the depth to which one understands the message. And if you're a cliff noter, you're not going to get anything. At least in my work, you're not going to get anything. You're going to be led astray by your own cliff noting, right? So he said this. Okay, so I'm going to make that this. No, you don't understand. Like I said, I'm not going to make my Twitter messages or my writings 7 million pages long each, because that's what will be required, right? So therefore, there absolutely is going to need to be a there needs to be some level of understanding that the human brings with him in order to even remotely understand my work, because you will misunderstand. I mean, that's not even the question. You will misunderstand. You shouldn't even read my Twitter messages. I mean, because it's just they're incumbent upon you being the sort of person who already has some level of understanding and before the message, and then he is willing to dive in and gain more understanding after the message, right? So the purity does not lead to success, and purity itself does not lead to success, and purity itself does not lead to starvation. It's not a direct link there. The point behind that message essentially was that garbage sells. Okay.
Right.
So if you go to the movies, if you go read books, if you go to the bookstore, whatever it is, the things that are the most commercial are the things that are the most garbage. And unless you have two choices. Either you can write garbage if you want to make money, and it doesn't mean that you will make money just because it's garbage. Same thing that just because purity doesn't lead to success, and neither does garbage necessarily, but you'll have a way higher chance with garbage. And the reason for that is that it's easy to think that that's unfair and wrong, but it's not fair. It's not unfair and wrong. It's just you have to know humans. And so unless you're publishing the book or your music or your painting or whatever it is on Mars, right? Who has, and let's say Mars is, populated by this completely different species of creature who appreciates art and who appreciates truth, right? Then you are putting the work out there in a land of garbage seekers. Okay, so the humans who populate Earth are shallow, distracted, disinterested, dumb, garbage seekers. Okay, that's why the explosion movie with cursing every other second. That's why those movies sell. That's why those movies are, standing room only, so to speak, and breaking the box office and all this stuff, right? Because that isn't wrong or unfair. So the artist who says, "Well, that's wrong because no, that's like saying, a a a fly that hovers over feces is wrong. It's not wrong.
Yeah.
That's just what it does, right? So the humans are not these refined. They have the capacity to be that way, and nature created them that way, but they've all lost their way, right? They have degraded towards the world and society. And so they're these degraded human beings who, guzzle beer and, go to these parties and talk nonsense at their stupid, idiotic social hours. So
Yeah.
like when that is the only thing that's available as far as the species in which your work is being put out, then your product doesn't really match the market, right? So your product has a much higher chance of matching the market if it's garbage. The more the more pure it is, and the more true it is, the more it is divorced from the nature, well, not only the nature, not the original nature, but the more it is divorced from who human beings have become. And therefore, the number of humans on this planet who are actually going to resonate with that is basically you're in starvation territory. That was the crux and meaning behind that message.